And we got a lot to discuss today. So many different things. One, I want to discuss kind of the shortcomings that I have started to discover with the Steam Deck. By no means am I saying that it's not worth it. I still think it's honestly the best thing that I've gotten, but I'm starting to run into some problems. Not problems, that's not a good way to put it. Maybe some blocks, some stumbling blocks, right? And two, I just want to kind of update and talk and hang out a little bit this morning. We have a new coffee. I made it yesterday, didn't love it. And this is Rwanda. I can't pronounce any of this. Muhororo, Muhororo. Maororo. Nyamasheke. Rwanda. Okay? Rwanda coffee today from Bear Coast. Yummy. If you're looking top down, you'll see that I have Dragon Ball right here. I want to briefly mention that for a second. I just this morning, like literally moments before I started this, finished Dragon Ball on it here. I have been exclusively reading Dragon Ball. I've never actually fully gone through the whole series. I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up. It was too violent. My parents were that way. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of things. Couldn't watch Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So me in my mid-30s, I'm getting caught up. I'm reading Dragon Ball, and at the same time, I'm watching it side by side. I haven't watched all of Dragon Ball because that's not the one that I'm most excited for, though it was really exciting. These last 3 volumes, I now get the jokes. I get it, dude. I get it. It's so funny. Like, literally 3 books. This one's the thickest one. It's the last one. 200 pages. The 200 pages of this one right here, granted it's, it's manga, was one fight. One fight. Awesome. It was so epic. Dude, it was so cool. But I finished it, and so time to move on to this box, and we'll switch it out in a second here. So I've been living my best life with video games, especially with the Steam Deck. It's been getting me so excited. I'm kind of giddy today. One, because I finished Dragon Ball, and I'm like, yeah, finally I get to get onto Dragon Ball Z. But 2, because I'm just in such a great mood in the mornings, honestly. Even though I get very little sleep, it's just, I like starting my day. I get a good cup of coffee, I get to make a video, hang out with you guys, and it's nice. But I have been using the Steam Deck here daily for a couple months now, and I finally kind of rounded out some of my, I can't even call them gripes, because they're not really gripes. It's more like things that get in the way. One, the Dockable Experience is by no stretch, like not even close to the Dockable Experience that you get with the Nintendo Switch. It's just not that easy, especially if you're planning on using controllers. You sometimes have to switch the controllers. I've run into some issues where I will dock. I have the Steam Deck dock because I think that going first party is, when possible, is the best solution. But when I dock mine, I will run into some issues with it switching inputs. So like I'll unplug it to go do something, grab the Steam Deck, and I want to go and, let's say I was playing it on my TV, which it scales well. It's not automatic though, so what you have to, well, it is automatic, but it's not perfect out the box. So what you might have to do is change the resolution, this, that, and the other, kind of customize it so it doesn't like automatically set the resolution to the input, because I'm running a 4K TV and it's trying to push out that image, and maybe it's just not going to scale right. And so with certain games, you have to like go in there and figure out, okay, what is going to be the proper resolution for this? How am I going to scale this properly? Especially on a TV, like what I'm doing. I'm using it with a TV, specifically using it with a TV. If it was a monitor, it might be a different situation, but this is the TV experience. Which for you, maybe that's something you're looking into. Is like, oh, maybe I want to use the dock like I would the Switch and use it in my living room TV. Totally can. I'm literally using that exact setup right here in my office with the LG C2. It's an OLED TV. I just happen to use that TV as a monitor. But that's what we're doing. 360. I run into some scaling issues sometimes, but the biggest issue is that input, dude. Like I'll unplug it, and none of the buttons will work. And so I'll have to go in there and switch out. And by none of the buttons, I just mean in-game. So like thumbsticks and buttons don't. You can hit the Steam button and then the UI will be functional. You can select the menus. And then you'll have to go and reprioritize the buttons. So you have to reprioritize the gamepad or the pad itself over the input that it had from the controller. And so that isn't seamless. And that's the biggest thing that I would say I'm dealing with the Steam Deck specifically, is the seamless nature of the gaming experience. It's not just plug and play all the time. Now, I will say over the Legion Go, and eventually I'll be able to give you a little bit more on the ROG Ally, because I am going to go and pick one up just to learn more about it. I will say that the power on feature, the suspend feature, is top notch. Like that right there, I think, is what really sets it apart from some of its competitors, is because it is just running the Steam system, at least as from what I've seen, that works great. You go and you unplug or you do your thing, or you turn it off and you're good to go. We're on number 2, so we're gonna smoke today. But that at first took a little bit of learning. I be honest with you, I got stuck for a short while trying to figure out, how am I going to get my inputs to work? I can't get the controller to work. I can't get the, first I couldn't get the controller to work to play Crisis Core, and then I couldn't get the gamepad to work after I was done playing Crisis Core, and I was like, what is going on? And this is kind of the experience that you end up going through with something Steam Deck. I would assume the ROG Ally as well as the Legion Go. These devices, because of the amount of flexibility they have, it introduces elements of complication, which could potentially change the gaming experience from flawless seamlessness, right, which is why these other machines exist, is it's a really seamless experience, to somewhat clunky. And so these are things I'm learning. And before, when I was more focused and hyper fixated on console gaming and being defined by that, which is no longer a thing, it's the very reason why for the 100th time you're seeing that this place is just my name, Julian Melnick. Just let me do it, okay? Let me do it. I'm realizing that before I was a little bit like, this is lame, it's too clunky, but now I'm realizing that clunkiness has quite a trade-off. Allowing for some of those different elements of complication to be introduced, the outcome, or not the outcome, the benefits that come with a little bit of work far outweigh some of the setbacks, I would say. Having to switch inputs and it not being a flawless docked experience when you're doing it, and a little bit of work, I'd say is perfectly okay for what the experience is otherwise. I was getting 60 frames per second. It's plugged in. There's a little more power going to it. I was just getting a better gaming experience than I would have, especially for Crisis Core on the Switch. There's no way I would have been able to run Crisis Core the way I was running it on the Steam Deck on the Switch. And that right there is huge. Oh, that's way better through the Kalita. Not to mention Kakarot. Kakarot is amazing, and I think that now's a good time for us to switch out these. We'll move all the Dragon Balls. The thing with this story that I wasn't expecting is I wasn't expecting them to meet the dragon so many times, but they end up doing so. So, yeah, Kakarot has been a blast to play, if I'm being honest with you. I've really enjoyed playing on the Steam Deck, especially the way it looks. It just looks so good on the OLED. And I feel like I'm spoiled because I want to play it on stuff like the Ally, but the Steam Deck itself just does such a good job, and the OLED screen is so amazing that I'm kind of scared to, not scared, but I'm kind of worried that my experience on something like the Ally would be less than, especially because it's the LCD screen, you add Windows, and I know you guys are just going to be saying in the comments, but the Ally has issues with the SD card. I get it. And to be honest, a lot of the reason why I want to do the Ally is because I want to show Asus that I am worthy of their second generation when it comes to reviewing that. Oh my gosh, this thing is huge. All right, let's just take the whole box set out and open it. Oh, 3. Okay, you guys got to see this. It looks so cool. Let's just go ahead and do this. Let's open it up completely. Yeah. Oh, wow. Can you see that? Don't drop the 4th Dragon Ball. Don't drop Gohan. Look at that. All of it. All 26 volumes. It's so crazy. The first one's kind of small, actually. But I get to start Volume 1. Dragon Ball Z. Ah! I'm so excited. I've been wanting to do this for such a long time. But I told myself I would not start Volume 1 until I completely finish Dragon Ball, because I wanted to get the whole story. And so now I can do that. And I'm very, very excited. I'm probably going to read more than 1 volume today. That's going to be fun. So those are some of the drawbacks that I've been experiencing. Another one that is something that is something to take into consideration is just because it's verified on Steam Deck doesn't mean it's going to run well. Here's an example. I have Resident Evil 4 on the Steam Deck, and it takes a lot of work. It's not out-the-box experience, not even in the slightest. It takes a lot of work for that game to get running well. And in some instances, you had it set, and this was something that a good friend of the Discord, Dean, said, is you have all of your settings set up, and then you go and get into a different instance, and when you're getting 45 to 50 frames somewhere, all of a sudden it drops down to 25. And you're like, holy smokes, I've lost a lot of frame rates, right? And so then you have to go in there and adjust and redo different things. And so that's something also that I'm learning, is that not all games are made the same. And again, just because it says it's verified doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to run well. It just means that every aspect of the game is able to run at a capacity that is the same as it would elsewhere, right? So like, you'll see a lot of games. I have a handful of games that don't run well. They're compatible. I forgot what the word is, but there's 3 different check marks. There's 3 different icons that exist when it's going through the Steam specific, because then there's another thing that you can look into, which is Proton, which is another conversation. But when you have a Steam verified game, that means that everything scales right? The text is readable, all this different stuff. The keyboard, when you need to type something in with a keyboard, it'll spawn the keyboard, and stuff like that. There is also one that's like playable, I believe. Yeah, I think it's called playable, and it's a yellow one. And the yellow icon means that the game runs and you'll be able to play it. It's playable, but there might be some issues. And for the most part, most of the issues you find are UI based. They're not game based. So it's not like the frame or the game can't be run on it. And that's the thing though. That's the thing. Verified doesn't mean the game is, or the device, your Steam Deck, is actually powerful enough to run the game well. That's verified. It'll say it. It just means that the game itself runs completely. You have games like Final Fantasy VII original from back in the day that is playable, but you have to boot in, sign into your Square Enix account, but you have to spawn the keyboard yourself manually through shortcuts because it doesn't automatically prompt the keyboard, and then you have to select things, and then you have to hope to God that you're connected to the internet in a way that the game itself recognizes. And it took me 35 minutes to get just Final Fantasy VII, the original, up and running. Now they do have mods for it, which I'm going to install the 7th Heaven mod and actually try it that way, but the game itself is from like, I don't know when they ported it over to PC, and it runs atrociously, right? But it's technically playable, and with it being playable, you have to do a lot of stuff with keyboards. That's usually what you see when it says playable, is that there's keyboard issues. Final Fantasy X, it just says that the text might be too small and you might have to zoom in with a shortcut. It's different stuff like that. You might see games go from verified to playable because an update drops and then the game itself loses some of the functionality and compatibility with the Steam Deck, or at least the hardware itself. Because remember, the Steam Deck itself isn't a machine that is a PC. So when you're running a game on it, it has to also, the game itself has to recognize that the controller is a part of that experience. It's mapping to a controller that's already there. And it's also needing to prompt a keyboard rather than having an input for a keyboard immediately available to you, which is with the PC. With the PC, the game itself just needs to recognize that there is a keyboard that exists, right? It's already there. It doesn't need to prompt an on-screen keyboard. And so these are some of the things that the verified playable, and then there's unsupported. The unsupported category is even more confusing because Kakarot is an unsupported game on the Steam Deck itself, but I can 100% verify that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, right? That's something I want to know. If the beginning of Kakarot is the beginning, oh my gosh, the beginning of Kakarot is literally the beginning of this. This is the beginning of Kakarot. No way. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I'm reading Dragon Ball Z, I'm playing Kakarot, and I'm gonna watch My life has changed. My life has changed. Sorry, that was distracting. But Kakarot is an unsupported game. It is gray. It says unsupported. Yet the game runs better than a verified game like Resident Evil 4. It runs flawlessly, out the box. Max graphic, whatever you can do, cranked up as high as you can, 60 frames per second, high shadows, you're running around having a great time. Literally, it runs as well on the Steam Deck as it does on the PlayStation 5. As well. I am dropping frames here and there, a little bit, but I don't think that the frame drops that I'm experiencing there are any different than I would experience on something like PlayStation 5. Yes, the PlayStation 5 is, I guess, 4K output, and this is not 4K output because it's on a display that's 800p, but still, it's outputting the game perfectly fine. I'm curious how it's going to run on something like the Asus ROG Ally. I'm very interested in the ROG Ally, to be honest. The Legion Go was awesome, but it had a lot of shortcomings. But the ROG Ally, for me, I feel like, yes, it has hardware issues, but those will be addressed by Asus if you contact them. And so, yes, even though those issues are there, it still has something that's very, very appealing to me as far as the hardware. It has availability of Epic Store, which I want to play Kingdom Hearts or stuff like that. All those different things exist in that space. And so I'm very interested in that. Now, I have looked, and you can put the Epic Store on the Steam Deck, but I kind of want to simplify things. It's the very reason why I wear all black all the time. This isn't just because this outfit is the best I can find for on camera, because realistically, colors might be a little bit more dynamic, but it's because I wear the same thing every day. I don't want to think about anything. I have 12 of the same black t-shirts. I wear a black t-shirt. Even though you don't see it, it's just black. There's nothing on it. The only time I'll wear a t-shirt that has something on it is my own merch, which is going to release, I guess, next month. I wear the same black hoodie because I have multiples of this Carhartt hoodie. Black hats, nothing on it except my, buddy's coffee shop. Black jeans, black Vans, because I don't want to think about anything. The only things that change every day is the color of my socks and the color of my underwear. The only things that I keep a little bit fun. That was weird. I just like the simplified version of things. The very reason why I wanted to switch and pare down everything down to a Steam Deck PC, even with my PlayStation 5 here, I can pretty much confidently say, unless something dramatic happens, that after 7 Rebirth, I'm just going to be running PC Steam Deck or PC handheld PC because I just want the simplicity. I mean, it's kind of like, here, my vinyl stuff. Vinyl seems more complex because of all the different hardware that exists. And it can be if you really want to get it going. But it's the medium itself, right? So with Steam Deck PC, it's just turn it on and go, right? There's a complexity to the setup, right? Much like the complexity to a setup like this. But once you have it, the thing that it offers you is just the game right there. There's not a bunch of different things you have to choose from. There's not a subscription-based, well, there is. You can get subscription stuff. But for me, I'm not subscription. I purchase the actual game and I play it. Just like with a vinyl record, purchase the record and I play it from start to finish. I'm not able to hop around on a bunch of different stuff. Do I want to listen to this here? Do I want it on Spotify? Do I want it on CD? Do I want it on all these different things? No, I just have this here and I'm gonna go. It's not a perfect analogy, but what I'm trying to get at is the setup may be complex, but the delivery of the media is what's simplified. It is in one place, it is one way, and it is expected in one area. So I know that when I'm going to experience that media, I'm going to the one thing that has it. I don't have to make decisions on where everything is. And when I have it, I have it. I own it. It's mine. I can feel it, right? here, okay? And that seems odd for something like digital purchases on a Steam Deck because you can't really feel it. I understand that. But the reason why I'm willing to go all in and digital on Steam versus all in digital on something like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox is because with Steam, you can take it anywhere and play it on anything that you own that runs Steam. Just like with this, I can go to anyone's house that has a record player and I put this record on, okay? Yes, this is an actual real physical item that no internet is required, but when it comes to actually playing and using video games, unfortunately, we're past that era and we're moving into an all digital age. And so I have to kind of figure out where am I going to have that library? I do not want to split it across 400 different stores. And I know that there aren't 400 different stores, but you understand the exaggeration here. I don't want to do that. Yes, the Epic Store is another place where you can purchase games, and I do want to play a few games that are available there on the ROG Ally, but I'm really just interested in the hardware itself rather than the stores that you can play, right? You can play Xbox games on there, all that stuff. I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in the actual hardware itself. How does it run things? Does it do it better? Is the hardware better? I want to try it. You can run Steam on it, right? And so really the biggest thing that I am encountering as far as the complications of this new PC gaming endeavor, because that's really what it comes down to, is mainly learning the nuance that exists. Because when it comes to making something work well, the responsibility is on the user rather than the developer and the game itself. When you play something on PlayStation, you don't get many options when it comes to making it run better. You don't. It's done. You can't change the processor. You can't change the graphics card. You can't change anything about it. It's done. It's finished. Okay? Much like something like this. When you have a coffee machine, you press a button, or you go to a coffee shop and you ask for a drink. They make it for you and they give it to you, and it's done. Versus something like this, where you have all the ingredients. You have the very coffee that they serve in the coffee shop. Okay? Now you have the complexity of everything else. You have to figure out how to grind it. You have to figure out what water temperature is going to work best. You have to figure out what brew method is going to work best. And then after that, you have to figure out, are you going to serve it in something that extracts heat from the coffee itself quickly, like glass? Or are you going to put it in something like ceramic that keeps the heat in the beverage and makes the beverage hotter for longer? Are you going to pour it off in small segments so that it's bite-sized and more able to be consumed in a somewhat more flavor-forward experience? Or are you going to keep it all in one jug and just let it cook for as long as you can? Right? There are all these different nuances that exist with something like this, and that's where the PC gaming side, which I never really thought of in that matter, becomes more appealing, and the complex and somewhat annoying things that exist in that realm now become just new options that you have to figure out to make it work. And once you have everything locked, you're good to go. Once you have a recipe, all I have to do is turn this on, grind the coffee, put it in a thing, and make it. And then I get to drink it. It's as simple as that. With PC gaming, I'm noticing that it's similar. Once you do your homework, someone else might do the homework for you, just like a recipe here. Once you do your homework, you're set. Something might change, an update might happen. You might not keep it in a canister that's airtight, so the gases may release and something changes. You have to adjust here and there, but then it's fine again. And then you can repeat the same experience, right? And so that's kind of the nuance, and that's incredible analogy. Good for me. That came to me. But that's kind of the nuances that I'm understanding exist in this space. And so I'm excited to adventure into this more and more and more. I hope you're excited to adventure with me. This is fun. This is exciting. It's good, I think. Now, I'm going to edit this video and post it. Read more Dragon Ball. Watch some Dragon Ball Z now. I can say that. Watch some Dragon Ball Z and play Kakarot. And then drink another cup of coffee later to make a coffee video for tomorrow. I kind of want to listen to some Hans Zimmer now. Let's do it. I'm going to. All right, guys. Happy gaming.